the show that the sisters are watching. Think about that Bad Girls Club. Do you remember Bad Girls Club? Do you remember the ratchet mess that Bad Girls Club used to be? Yeah. So imagine you have a sister who's gone missing. You think she's dead, you don't know what happened to her, you're sitting back, you're watching some Bad Girls Club, and you see her on the television. You see your sister on the television acting foolish, acting a mess. You're thinking, hold on a minute, how has Ruthy been alive all this time over there, busting jokes, being foolish, and not want to come home, you know? Hello unicorns, I'm Tiffany, that's Angelica, and we are back with another video. So today we're just going to go through some of my recent reads, and in this video it's going to be all my recent contemporary reads because I have been in my contemporary bag recently. So let's just jump right into it. So the first book I want to discuss is What Happened to Ruthy. I can't say Ruthy Jimenez. No, What Happened to Ruthy Ramirez by Chloe Jimenez. Now, this book is basically about a girl that goes missing like 20 years ago. She went missing when she was 13. None of her family knew. She's grown up in a predominantly female household. So I think she was the middle child. So she has an older sister, younger sister, and her mother and her aunties. No one knows what happened. And we're literally just following her family as they deal with the loss of their sister, the loss of their daughter. Okay, so now we're 20 years after this disappearance, and while watching a TV show, one of the sisters spots a girl on a reality television that looks exactly like their missing sister Ruthy, and then follows just a ridiculous, it's not even the antics that these sisters and the mother go through to find out if this girl on this show is actually their Ruthy that's been missing. Was absolutely fantastic. What I found amazing about this book is that there is something really special when a book can take a serious subject, as in a missing child, as in a missing black or brown child that doesn't really get looked at in our modern day world, and they take that serious subject and they just talk about this serious and emotional subject while keeping the tone light-hearted, like having some moments in there that is just so funny and enjoyable, even though the subject matter in this book should not be something to laugh at, should be something to take serious. It made the reading experience of this book very enjoyable for me. What I most admire about this book is the different way that the sisters and the mother, if they deal with their grief. It's the different way that they interact with each other after the fact that they have this missing sibling, that they have a missing child, that they don't know what happened to her, and the way that it affects them throughout their lives and how they interact with each other afterwards. So this story is told through multiple POVs of the different Ramirez women, and each of these siblings, each of these sisters, they have a unique perspective. Oh, let me have a little drink. Like, I love me a multi-generational story. Now, although this story doesn't take place over multiple generations, like we don't see the mum when she's younger growing up, it's not like that. I just mean I love seeing the different perspectives from the different family members of different generations and how they deal and cope with the same situation. You know, the same trauma that affected them, how they cope with it, on knowing their different personality. And I feel like they interweave each other so fluidly in this book. I loved it. It's the show that the sisters are watching. Think about that Bad Girls Club. Do you remember Bad Girls Club? Do you remember the ratchet mess that Bad Girls Club used to be? Yeah. So imagine you have a sister who's gone missing. You think she's dead, you don't know what happened to her, you're sitting back, you're watching some Bad Girls Club, and you see her on the television. You see your sister on the television acting foolish, acting a mess. You're thinking, hold on a minute, how has Ruthy been alive all this time over there, busting jokes, being foolish, and not want to come home, you know? You're thinking, what's going to happen? What they're going to do? But at this point of the story, they don't know if this Ruthy is, in fact, their sister, you know? And the daughters, they don't want to tell their mum in case they break their mama's heart. So they're trying to figure out how to get to, I think they are in the East Coast, New York or something, and the Bad Girls Club, well, it's not called Bad Girls Club, but the show is in LA or something. So they have to go, I don't know, I'm making up the locations, but there's distance. So they have to go there, confirm if it's Ruthy before they want to tell their mum. So, but nothing can get past Dolores, and she figures out that actually, is this my child on TV? So as a family unit, mom, auntie, two sisters. They get in the car, they drive down, figure out what's going on, if this is Ruthy, if she's alive, and what happened to her. I ain't gonna tell you if it's Ruthy. I ain't gonna tell you it's Ruthy or what happened to her. But there is just one scene that I have to highlight in this book. It's when the family ends up at the club where the bad girls are. And obviously the mum and the auntie, they can't come in the club because the bouncers, you know, they're like, I don't want no old people in the club. They have to look a certain type of way. And that's what I don't like about America. Why are you trying to get aesthetics? If people want to go to a shubs and party, let them go to the shubs and party. But anyway, so the mum and auntie sneaks in the club. They see Ruthy. A massive fight erupts. The mum, auntie, sisters all jumping in. They're trying to defend this girl that they think is her daughter. I was just laughing. The way that Claire Jimenez writes the scene, I can see it. I can see it with my eyeballs. That I can see it play out. I can see the left hooks, the wigs flying. It was fantastic. And considering that this book deals with such a subject that has been highlighted in many forms of media, but has not been addressed in a way that it should be. And that is the number of black and brown girls going missing and nobody's looking for them. This book highlights this serious topic. And the way it's written, you know it's serious. You know this is an issue. But yet, the comedy in the book, the laughter in the book, it just blends well together. Even though you're still on the serious subject, you can smile about the antics that this family is going through to try and get the child back. I loved it. If you didn't already know, I loved what happened to Ruthy Jimenez. Not Jimenez. The author's name is Claire Jimenez. The character's name is Ruthy Ramirez. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I don't know. But Jimenez, author. Ramirez, character. If you haven't picked up this book yet, I strongly advise you do. I like this book. This was, I think, what was it? This is a 5-star read for me. This was a 5-star read for me. I had no criticisms. Actually, no. I had one criticism. I felt like the book was too short. Like, it was short, but I wanted more from it. And that's my only criticism. Like, it could have been longer, and I don't think it would have took away from the story. I felt like we could have delved in more into each character and their struggles. Even though it was done well, the book done it well, I could have used more. And that's not a bad criticism. That just means how much I love the story being told and I wanted to be more involved in it. That's all. The next book I read was The Mothers. Now the Mothers. The Mothers. We are following a teenager called Nadia, whose mother has committed suicide when she was 17, and she's dealing with that. Like, there's no answers on why her mom committed suicide. Her family are church people. They live in, I don't think it's the South. I don't know. Again, somewhere in America. So we follow Nadia, whose mother commits suicide. We follow her best friend, and I say that like this, Audrey, whose mother has chosen her boyfriend over her own child, and that's shady as hell. I'll get to that later. And then we follow Luke, who is the pastor's son. Now, when you hear the word pastor's son, you know something down and nasty is happening, because them pastor children, them preacher kids are all nasty. Anyway, so first of all, I want to say that the title of this book is very appropriate. I like when a title makes sense to the book. At first, I thought, why am I reading a book called The Mothers when the main characters are children? You know? But in this book, we deal with mothers who left, mothers who were left, you know? We won't deal with wannabe mothers. We deal with mothers who never gave birth, but they are mothers because they held a baby in them. We deal with all types of mothers. And then in the backdrop of the book, of the narration, we have, like, if you think about it, remember Hercules, how you have the gospel choir and they're all talking people's business. That's what we have. We have a list of old church-going ladies who's just telling us the tea, telling us stories about what they got up to. They're observing these little children do their stupidness, and the mothers in the background, they're telling us, if we like in retrospection, is that the word? That they're giving judgment on their communities coming and goings. Okay. So when I first started this book, when I was around 10% into this book, I thought we was gonna get mystery. I thought we was gonna get something to be like, oh, our main girl's mum killed herself. Why did she kill herself? Is it something shady to do with the church? Is something going on? Is it her daddy to blame? Did her dad push the mum to the side? I don't know. I thought we was gonna go into an investigation on why this girl's mum committed suicide. We don't get that. That's not what the story's about. It's something that happens to the character that leads her to make certain choices that she does in her life. Okay? What we have is a story about false friendships, about fake love, and about broken people trying to heal together, but they're failing tremendously. Okay? This book, it was a good book. It was a good book. And I think this book would be a perfect book for a book club pick because there is so much to discuss in this. First of all, we have Nadia. Nadia, her mama died. Her mama killed herself. She has no friends. She's spiraling. She's 17. So what does she do? She finds comfort in the preacher boy. She finds comfort in the preacher boy. Nobody knows about their relationship. They start dipping it and doing it. And you know, what do teenagers get up to when they start dipping and doing it? She falls pregnant. Now, when you think about that, and they live in a very Christian community, and this teenager is pregnant, they tell the preacher's parents, they tell the parents of the preacher's son, you know? I thought they would have kept the baby, but no, they pay for her to get an abortion. Now, that element changes her whole life, okay? She gets the abortion. The son, the preacher boy, Luke, didn't want to have the abortion, but when is it his turn to say that, no, I want my baby, keep my baby? When does he make that choice? Because it's the girl that hasn't carried the baby, so she needs to make the decision. She don't want the baby. But this boy wanted his child. And his parents, he thought if he told his parents are the pastor, his parents are the father, I don't know what they call them in church, but the man with the bow tie, with the white collar, the man with the white collar, that's what his dad is. So he's thinking that his dad is going to tell the girl to keep the baby. But no, they give her the money to get the abortion. So now Luke's there all depressed and sad because his baby is gone and he wanted the baby. And Nadia's just like, okay, we made the decision, let me go and live my life. So she leaves town and she goes on with her life. Okay, good on you, girl. Make the best of it. But Luke is a depressed boy. I think he broke his leg at one point because he's meant to be a big time football star, but he's tore his ACL or something, I don't know. And he's just upset. He's just trying to cope with the fact that he could have been a father. He could have been holding his baby in his hands right now, but no. She had an abortion. Now here we have is Audrey. Audrey's character is heartbreaking. Audrey's sad. This girl did nothing, and she didn't deserve anything that happened to her. So Audrey is technically Nadia's best friend. Now let me tell you something. Nadia, is her name Nadia? I feel like her name's Nadia. Yeah, her name's Nadia. So Nadia didn't tell nobody about her relationship with Luke. So obviously she didn't tell her best friend about her relationship with Luke when they were children. So now that Nadia's gone, Audrey and Luke, they're healing together because Audrey has some baggage of her own, dealing with her own abandonment issue from her mum who picked her boyfriend who sexually abused her after her child. Please. So Audrey and Luke connected. Audrey and Luke got together. Audrey and Luke are healing together. They fell in love. Audrey and Luke got married. But your best friend never once, throughout your whole courtship, throughout your whole dating experience, throughout nothing, your best friend never said, girl, I'm happy for you, but I used to get down with him. Me and him used to do a thing back in the day. But I'm happy for you. She never told her that. So that's why I say that's false friendship. Because you're telling me, if you're meant to be my best friend, and the love of your life, that the man that has changed you, that got you pregnant when you were 17 years old, you know, you ain't going to tell me that I'm going to marry this man. So I'm not getting this background information. Fake friendship. Please move. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that fact that you ain't told me that you used to be dipping and doing it with my man when you were a baby, when you were 17. Because right now we're adults, and right now I'm married to him. You know that I'm married to him. If you're telling me you have feelings for this man, come tell me as your friend. Don't go sleep with my man behind my back and take up a tour affair when I'm crying to you that I'm having difficulties getting pregnant and you're there dipping and doing it with my husband. No, this book, I felt like I gave too much away, and I apologize. This book has a lot to unpack in it, and although this book dealt with some heavy themes, like we have abortion, we have suicide, we have sexual assault, okay? We have all these heavy themes in this book. I did feel like it was really melodramatic for my taste. I felt like there was nobody to root for. There was nobody to like, you know? I don't understand why certain characters did certain things. The only person that I wanted to win was Audrey, because she don't deserve nothing that happened to her. But other than that, why? What am I meant to take away from this? What am I meant to take away from this? Although this was a good story, this book was beautifully written. It just made me mad. So I couldn't give it the full 5 stars. I think I gave it 4 or 3.75. I'm not sure. But it wasn't a phenomenal book. So the next book I read was An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. What this book's about? This book follows a marriage between Roy and, I want to say, what's her name? Between Roy and Celestial. So this book follows their marriage, follows when they meet. We see them being married, and then we see the tragic event that has separated them, that has caused them, they haven't split, that takes Roy away from her, and how they heal from this. What happens, I don't know what happens. I don't think it's spoiler, because it happens right at the beginning. But so they meet, they've been married for what, a little less than a year. They go back home to Roy's house in Louisiana. Now, instead of staying at their parents' house, they decide to stay at a motel. And while they were staying at the motel, a lady from down the couple of rooms down gets sexually assaulted, and she says it was Roy who did it, that Roy that essayed her, and he gets locked away for 12 years. He gets put in prison. The man's innocent. The man ain't did nothing to her. I don't know if the book actually reveals if he's innocent or not, if it's been confirmed, but he's innocent. He ain't did that. He ain't do it, and he's been locked away. Now, although that subject matter was prevailing, like locking up innocent black men that ain't did nothing, but just his only crime was taking up space, being somewhere where he should not have been, and now he's locked away for 12 years, and his whole future, his whole marriage has been destroyed. So what An American Marriage did asks us what it really means to be married. So if Roy and Celeste was married for, like, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, you expect her to stand by her man. He's been locked away for 12. He's been locked away for 12. But they've only been married for 1 year. If that, they're just coming up to their 1 year anniversary. And now your husband's locked away for 12 years. Are you going to stay faithful throughout them 12 years? I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I mean, I feel like a conversation should have been had. Saying, look, baby, I'm in this situation. It ain't my fault. The girl's just like saying, yeah, I know it ain't your fault, but you're locked away for 12 years. So we're going to work this out, but I'm going to be doing me. And when you come out, we can rekindle things. A conversation should have been had. That conversation was never had. Okay? I get it. It was too fresh. The rooms are too fresh. Oh. Did I knock you down? Sorry. Okay. What this book does, it gives you a for instance. It makes you ask yourself, what would you do in this situation? Okay? So, let me give you a for instance. You just married the love of your life. You just married this man that you're in love with. You've been married for a year. And then one thing leads to another. He gets falsely accused for a horrendous crime. You know he's innocent. His mama knows he's innocent. Everybody knows he's innocent. But the system wants to keep a black man down. So the system sends him to prison for 12 years. What are you going to do? You're going to wait for them 12 years knowing that you've only been married to 1. I believe you've known him for 2. I'm not sure. So say you know him for 2 years. You've been together for 2 years. You're married for 1 year. Now he's in prison for 12 years. That's 6 times the amount of time that you've known him. Are you going to stay loyal? Are you going to stay faithful? What should have happened? What should have happened that would have made all the conflict in this book a moot point? It's a conversation. The Roy and Celeste needed to have a conversation too, and she should have said, been honest, like, look, baby, it's hard for me. I know it's hard for you, but you're in here for 12 years. I got needs. I got a life to live. You know, instead of us having a magnanimous, is that how you say it, magnanimous? I don't know, but instead of having instead of us being in that type of relation, just be polys. You know, let me go and live my life. I ain't never gonna love someone as much as I love you because you're my husband. But I need something. I need something. Have that conversation. And if he says no, fine. Go do you, but you've been on it. What I didn't like about this book is that Celeste wasn't honest. She was not honest with her feelings. And Roy, I get it. He is a victim. The thing is, it's one of them instances, it's one of those situations that you have to look at it in hindsight. You can't make a decision now because you ain't never had that. You ain't never been in that situation. There's the thing that you would likely do, that you imagine yourself doing if you were in that situation, and there's the thing that you would do when you're in that situation. You know? The book started off well though. We get a flashback of the relationship. You see that at first, I didn't think their relationship would last because I felt like Roy was a cheater. I felt like Roy was getting numbers of women, was calling up women that he shouldn't be calling up, knowing that he's got a relationship with Celeste, knowing that he's newly married. Why are you talking to other women like that? So I don't think if Roy was on the outside, if he never got in prison, that their relationship would last, that their marriage would last long. However, that did not happen. He went to prison. So the first book is letters back and forth, and it's all miscommunication. There's all these things that between husband and wife that you're having this miscommunication, and it's even worse because it's just through letters. And you know when you read a text message, you're gonna read it the way you're gonna interpret it. Like, this is why I don't like writing text messages, because I'm sarcastic. So if you don't take my sarcasm when it's written down, you take it, that's what I really feel, we're going to have a problem. And that's what I felt like these letters going back and forth, they're interpreted it different ways. Because you're already in your feelings about the situation. So when you're reading about other people's feelings, you're going to get mad because you're already mad. Okay, so the next book I read was The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest, I believe. Now, I read I feel like it's her. I didn't write it down, but I feel like that's her. But I read The Neighbor Favor, loved it, great stuff, brilliant. I think I enjoyed The Neighbor Favor more than I enjoyed this book. It's only because I like the writing aspect. I like the story and how they connected in that book. This one, I put too much assumptions on this book, and it didn't meet my assumptions. It didn't meet my expectation. It was still a good book. So in The Partner Plot, this is a second chance fake marriage dating situation. Now we have got Violet and we got Xavier, who used to date back in the day when they was in secondary school or high school. And they broke up. I forgot why they broke up. Something to do with Xavier failing at his basketball career genes, but Violet making it big. I don't know. Some ego bullshit. I'm not sure. But anyway, so they break up. And so Xavier is now a teacher, English teacher. Violet is living her best life. She's out there doing makeup, I believe, or costume design. I don't know. She's doing something, but she's doing it well. She's doing it big. Okay? She's a fashion designer. That's what she is. And then they reconnect in Vegas. One thing leads to another. They have a fake wedding. They're not officially married. But then Violet is having a conversation, an interview, and just drops the bomb that actually she got married to a high school sweetheart, thinking no one's going to see it. But yet, you already know people are going to know who you're talking about. People knew who your high school sweetheart was. They're going to know. So obviously, everyone finds out from their small community that it's Xavier, so they have to pretend to be fake married because she broke her leg, had to go back home. I just felt that situation was really stupid. That was the dumbest thing that could have happened to bring them together. There could have been another catalyst. There could have been another inciting incident that caused them to have a fake marriage. Like, someone could have saw them pretend they're aunties to someone. They didn't want to lie, but Anyway, the whole situation, I was just rolling my eyes like, yeah, whatever. Unbelievable. But it's a book. Of course it's unbelievable. But what I did like about this is that in a partner plot, the characters, they're adults. They don't act juvenile. They don't act like teenagers. They're adults and they know how the world works. And they have adult conversations about how their relationship works. I don't think there was a lot of miscommunication in this book. And I felt like that gave us a bit more clarity to their relationship. That made me want to root for their relationship to be more dynamic. Like, again, I enjoyed the first book better. But it was okay. It was an okay read. It was cute. You know? It was nothing special. The next book I read was something. This is Brooklyn by Tracy Brown. Now, this book. So this book starts off with saying a master manipulator and a serial survivor who will scorch earth to get whatever she wants. The question is, the question isn't who murdered her. The question is, who wouldn't? From that little brief synopsis alone, I knew I wanted to read this book. I thought we was going to get a little bit of a murder mystery. But when I was reading the book, I completely forgot that we already knew that the main character was dead at the beginning. I completely forgot that we knew that this main character was trying to uncover who would want to kill her. Because this book never once went back to that. And never once reminded me until right at the end, and I had to roll my eyes. Did I enjoy this book? No, not really. There's 2 points. I don't want to give spoilers, but I'm going to give spoilers. There's one scene right near to the beginning of this book where our main character, Brooklyn, is sleeping at her cousin's house, sleeping at her uncle's house, and the uncle comes into the room and says to the girl, I think she must be 12 at this point, or she's a little girl, I don't know how old she is actually, but she's a little baby girl, sleeping in the same room with her cousin of the same age, both girls in the room. The uncle, comes into the room and goes up to Brooklyn and says, I need to check if you're still a virgin. I have to do this test. What kind of nasty... really? So obviously the girl screams. The man says, no, I didn't do nothing. So the mum, her auntie, takes her home and tells Brooklyn's mum, look, this is what your brother was doing to your child. The mama don't want to believe her. The mama says she must be mistaken. Okay? Why don't you, as the mum, believe your daughter what she said? The other woman believes her so much she took the child out the house. That everyone knows this man's fishy, but you don't want to believe that your child was almost molested by your brother. Now, that set the tone. That set the tone for Brooklyn's entire life. Okay? Because if your mama doesn't believe when something this traumatic happens to you and just washes it under the rug and doesn't want to handle this, how are you as a little girl meant to handle this emotion? Even though when she told her dad, good on her, because her mum tried to tell her to keep it a secret, but she told her daddy. And her daddy went trying to find him and beat him up, but the mum already called and warned him and said, get out of town, my husband's coming. That mum needs to go. That mum, I just don't understand why they kept her around. She's rotten, just like her brother was. She needed to go, but she didn't go. They stayed around. Brooklyn was such an unlikable character, and I think that was the point of this book. She was meant to be unlikable, even though she had such a traumatic childhood, an event that happened in her childhood. What she ends up doing throughout the book is just what? What? If this book was solely about... Well, the book was solely about Brooklyn. But if there wasn't the side characters, if she didn't meet other people that enriched her life, I don't think I would continue reading this book. Because I really didn't care what happened to Brooklyn. I really didn't care. And put away that night, I forgot that she was meant to die. I forgot this was meant to be a murder mystery. So I thought, while reading this book, we was just exploring her life and her antics and what she's doing. And it got to the point when I was around 30-40% in, I don't care about your life and the life choices you make. I don't agree with any of them. I don't like you as a character. I don't like you as a human. Okay? But the side characters, that's what got me. I need someone to root for. When I'm reading a book, I need someone to root for their flaws and all. You can be a bad person, but you need to be captivating. You need to be, if you're a villain, I need to be captivated in your story. I wasn't captivated in Brooklyn's story. Okay? She betrayed her friend. She slept with her friend's, was it her boyfriend at the time? like, you got kicked out your home. Nobody wants you. Nobody likes you. You have nowhere to stay. So one of her friends says, come stay with me. I will treat you right. I will take care of your needs. You're depressed. You know they're in love. You know, I'm not saying this is all Brooklyn's fault because the man's got something to say, but that's your best friend. And you want to go sleep with her husband because you don't want to, you're not happy, so no one has to be happy. I don't like Brooklyn as a person. I don't like what she did to her siblings because she's so selfish. She only thinks about herself. Now, when you got to the end of the book and they remind you, oh, it's meant to be a murder, you're meant to discover who killed her. The person who actually killed her, what? It just felt flat. Like, if I, now in retrospect, now that I know what happened and what Brooklyn did in the story, there could have been so many other people that killed Brooklyn that would have made more sense. I would have been more satisfying for me to read. The fact that this is the person at the end of the book that killed her, I was like, disappointed to say the least. Disappointed. So, no, I didn't enjoy this book. The last book I want to talk about in this video is Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. Memphis. Why? All I got to say, why? I did not need to read this book, to be honest with you. I don't know why I read this book. This book is not one of those books that changes you. It's not one of the books that I read it, I took nothing away from it. It didn't need to be written. It didn't, like, there was no conversations to be had in this book that I feel would be prominent, that would be beneficial to anybody. Like, okay, although I didn't like Brooklyn, there were several conversations that I could have brought up in a book club and we could have had a discussion around it. I feel like with Memphis, when I'm reading it, any discussion we had would have just been flat. Because any opinions on this book, apart from that this book was not needed, is mute. So first of all, this book is, I don't even know how to describe this book. This is very female-centric book that follows several women from one family through different generations, you know. So you have the grandmother, the mother and sister, and then you have the mums and their siblings and the little girls. What can I say? I don't even want to talk about this book, to be honest with you. The only thing I didn't like about this book, the main criticism where I just feel like I didn't need to read this book, is that none of the male characters in this book were good. There was no positive male role model. There was no positive male representation. And that's what I don't like in books. I mean, fair enough, you had these men ain't shit doing bad stuff. They weren't complex. They were just bad men doing bad things. And then we have these women that I have to deal with it, you know? And I get that there are men that do these things in real life, but there are also some good men. And why didn't you want to show that? There was only one positive black man in this book, and that was like flashback to their granddaddy. You don't get to see him much. The rest of them, they're all problematic. They all have problems. Like, I don't like, and I think it's my fault. I'm the issue because I read books predominantly by females, and they don't write good men. And no, I don't mean that. I feel like they're taking their anger. This book was taking out anger against the black man. I don't understand it. I don't like it. I don't like the mum. The decision that the mum made to go, they're running away from her abusive husband. Fair enough, get your daughters out of there, go back home. But yet you're taking them to go live in a house where your daughter got SA'd when she was 3 years old, and the person that SA'd her still lives in the house, and you expect your daughter to grow up with this boy in the house, knowing that this happened, knowing the trauma that she went through. And you think, oh, she was so young when this happened, she don't remember it. But when she steps on that doorstep and she looks at this boy and she pisses herself. I think she was what? I don't know. Maybe she was 15 when she came back and she got SA'd when she was 3, and she pisses herself because she remembers what this boy did to her. And you don't think, you know what? We can't stay here. Because you have another daughter, another young daughter, and you want to stay in this house. It don't make no sense. I was mad. And that's why I don't like this book. Because I can't be mad for you and you as a character not be mad for yourself. Like, we can be mad together. And then the actions you do, I'm like, yes, girl, you do that. Or no, don't do that. But if you're not mad and I'm feeling all your emotions and you're just there dandy, just getting on with it. And I'm just like, why are you doing that? I can't read the book. But yeah, I should have put this book down. I should have put an D in there. But I just wanted to see if it would redeem itself. And it did not. I don't like this book. I don't recommend this book. No. Memphis, why? So that is it for me today. Those are all my contemporary reads that I've been reading recently. As I said, some of them were hits like Miss Ruthy Ramirez. Some of them were just not it for me. I think what I'm going to try to do next is just get back into my fantasy bag, because fantasy hasn't failed me. But that was it for me today. Let me know if you read any of these books. What are your thoughts on them? And I'll be back with another video soon.